instance. It's about having a taste, having a go, feeling like you can actually wiggle your bottom a little bit. You know, he's very, very, what's the word? Pragmatic. Yes, both. He's realistic about what you can achieve in one thing. Yep. And for most people, having their bottoms a little bit wiggly on a chair, your other little piece of homework can be, if you're going out or you're sitting on the train going, see how heavily people sit and how immobile they are in a chair. Like they just dump themselves in a chair, they sit back on their sacrum, so that any movement from sitting requires a lot of preparation. Yeah, because they're already back and they've already given up their weight, you know, way back onto their pelvis, exactly like driving. Yeah, yeah. Right back. Yeah, whenever I have my car serviced, they'll get in the car and they go, how do you drive like this? But because I have my seat up really, really straight at the back and really close, so that I'm like this, and I must look like, you know, the classic one lady driver, like, you know, Miss Marple or whatever. But that's the only way I can, because otherwise I have to use my arms to drive, because my pelvis is, if I'm back like this, then I can only use my arms, because everything else is too busy being sloppy. So that's really, you know, what this lesson's about, is to get people up on their bottoms and get their bottoms a bit wriggly and moving their weight. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's something to watch. If people can't slide their knee forward, it's probably because they are really still back on their sacrum. So you might need, you know, some little, but again, don't give too many instructions in it, because it takes it away. Now, the 3-minute miracle is basically you're only going to have 2 or 3 permutations of this. So what do you think are going to be the kick-ass differentiators, for example? Because this, as you said, this is a dead bird lesson, basically, where you're using... so, you know, you can think about the first part of it is the power of the pelvis, you know, so being free to move in your hip joints, that then mobilizes the rest of you. And then you're using basically a sequence of differentiators, so that they feel the difference between their eyes and head, shoulders and hips. That's it. Simple as. So you can strip it back even, you know, to just a few... Good job.
Somebody's on the job. The other thing I noticed was that when, with some of those differentiations, particularly keeping the head there and moving everything under it, meant that initially what I was noticing was that sometimes as I was going forward, my knee was coming, let me show you, was coming in. You know, and that's an exaggeration, but, you know, that sort of idea, or that sort of idea.
Yeah.
So by doing that, holding the head there, that sort of almost forced it to go forward. So is that a scheme in his mind, do you think?
Yeah, he doesn't labour any points. Like, I've literally,
it, but
you know,
I just wonder whether
there is a thing
to do with that.
When you do this lesson and you're teaching it in a longer version, where you do really think about where the knee goes.
Yeah.
Because that's very different.
Yeah,
because otherwise you could just swivel, collapse, and do the whole thing. So at one stage I did add in, you maybe heard me saying the knee going over your toes. He never says that.
Yeah, okay.
But because I'm teaching blind, I added it into the recording because I want them to not get into that habit.
Yes,
however, you could teach a lesson about the knee going over the big toe, going, you know, more to the middle, more to the little toe, and that would be a beautiful lesson about differentiating the hip.
Yeah,
be a lovely lesson about where does your hip go, because all the time to have your hip, that firstly your left hip has to be really free, but secondly you really have to shift your weight onto your right hip.
Yeah, to get that happening. Oh, good.
Absolutely. Yep, and the knee alignment is what often causes wear and tear in the knee joint, and sort of, you know, that people think, oh, I've got arthritis. Well, actually, it's just because they keep letting their knee collapse mostly inwards. But there are the odd, you know, can't stop a pig in a passage, blokes who can't, you know. So that ability to, not just blokes. Yeah.
It seems that once people are over that 83 mark, then it's very, very difficult for them to change particular alignments, because often they have an injury that they
Maybe.
And they're protecting themselves, and they, yeah.
So I dare you to say that in January, if we get Margaret Mayo over, because her class, the average age would be 90. For some of her classes, I exaggerate. But I mean, I know her mum's like 96 or something, and all of her mum's peers come. And she has them down on the floor doing Alexander Yanai, and they go for broke. They are
Great.
They're amazing. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I totally hear what you're saying, is that they're...
No, I'm talking about what they say.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm not
yeah.
trying to do that.
No. Yeah, yeah.
Now, once they get to the place where they really feel that maybe they've got they feel like they can't change.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You know, you work with 37-year-olds who say that. You know that, and you know, and many. This is where we have to be discerning, because, you know, I've worked with people who've come in saying, "I don't want to have a hip replacement." They have to if they want to keep walking. You know, we're not curative, and you know, they've got such a. I remember one woman; she was so desperate to avoid it. You know, so we worked for, I don't know, a couple of years. We put it off until she felt ready, and then she had it. Now she recovered like in about 5 seconds because of all the feldy that she does. But her hip would not turn out towards the end. It would not. You know, it was a bony block. There was something happening in the joint. So you're absolutely right. There are some people that they can't. You have to. You have. This is where you know, we can't have really fixed expectations, because they will have a deformity of some kind. It's about how they work within the constraints of that deformity, if it is, and we don't use the D word because it's a bit damning. The thing is, of course, and what I used to say to her was, up until towards the end, we never knew what was in the joint, because I don't have X-ray eyes. I can't see what's happening in the joint. And of course, every now and again, I'd pull out an amazing FI where her hip would have full range. That was probably the biggest disaster that I ever did, because then it wasn't a bony block. There was clearly, it was something soft tissuey. Don't give people hope. It's a terrible thing. No, don't. Jenny likes hope. I like hope. But yeah, so that it's about, you know, recognising, getting people to explore what's possible around the impossible, and not, you know. It's interestingly, with neuro things, I'm probably more pessimistic than I should be, because people constantly surprise me, because that's my background. I have a limited imagination around recovery sometimes with neuro. So my clients with neuro issues,
hard work, isn't it?
it is hard work, and I have too much pathology in my head, and I get caught up with the pathology, and then they do something extraordinary, and I go, oh God, yeah, I really should be a bit more open-minded, because that's my limitation. So I err on the side of let's see. That's probably going, okay. Well, that's right. Yeah. And, you know, let's see is better than. Bloody, honestly, my colleagues in Adelaide, I don't know what's happening in Perth and over here, who just say, I'm getting this no rehab potential. This is fellow physios. I'm just so disappointed in that they're saying no rehab potential. It's like, you've got no potential. Like, you, what an... Oh, it's so distressing, because, like, you know, we used to always have it, the medicos would say, no, you'll never get any better, blah, blah, blah. And you're dealing with this dreadful impairment of imagination. But now it's the therapists. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's very distressing. It's very distressing. So we're not making promises, but we're not shitting on people either and saying, I mean, how awful if someone said to you, you've got no potential. Well, everybody's got potential except me. Oh, be quiet. Even I've got potential. Even I don't swear as much as I used to. I'm growing up. I'm far more polite now than I used to be. I'll have you know. I have been. Very bad. Very bad. All right. Yeah, I have potential. We all have potential. So, okay, try out your little 3-minute miracle on some unsuspecting geezer. I like your very creative thing about if you haven't got any unsuspecting geezers at home tonight, you can Zoom somebody and try it on somebody. Oh yeah, some poor unsuspecting tram geezer. All right, see you tomorrow, 9:30.